Welcome, everyone. My name is Jenna Grumman, and I am with First Book. And I am excited on this Friday to share the STEM Careers All Year series with you that we've partnered with General Motors to do and bring to you and your classroom. Today, we are going to have a special guest, actually, two guests from General Motors. And our extra special guest, Justen, is going to share a little bit about his background, where he's from, what he does at General Motors, and what has inspired him to get there. I'll let Kelsey and Justen share a little bit more about them. But we hope that you will listen in and share your questions and ideas and thoughts in the chat as you hear from Justen along the way. We'll get to that Q&A a little bit towards the end of our session today. We're only together for about 15 or 20 minutes, so hope you can stay and listen to the whole thing. We hope that you will use the chat now to share where you're tuning in from. So what location, your grade level, please feel free to send that in so we can see who's tuning in. And of course, at any time, you can chat in those questions. So like I mentioned, today you're going to hear from a current leader and engineer and manufacturing manager from GM, Justen Bond. So he's going to share more about how he leads a team to put the finishing touches on vehicles like the Chevrolet Silverado HD and the GMC Sierra HD pickup trucks. And he's going to share again about his journey in STEM. And then, like I mentioned, Kelsey will join him to do those Q&As. So get your questions ready, share where you're from, and I will turn it over to Kelsey Gaines, the STEM Education Manager at General Motors.
Hi, thanks, Jenna. Hello, everyone. It's great to be here with you all today. I am coming to you live from Detroit, Michigan. So as Jenna mentioned, do drop in the chat where you are tuning in from today. So at GM, I have the wonderful opportunity of working on our corporate giving team and the pleasure of working with nonprofits across the country like First Book. And we at GM are working to become the most inclusive company in the world. And we know that we have a responsibility to make STEM education more accessible and equitable. And we know that we need to encourage kids from every community to pursue careers in STEM education to help be the innovators and leaders in the automotive industry and beyond in the future. As we continue to develop a more technologically advanced society, it's important that everyone falls in love with STEM and sees STEM around them everywhere. We see it at the grocery store when we're handing in our change. We see it outside in nature, and we see it in all of the technology we use every day. And at GM, we work with a lot of different technology, and Justen Bond, who I'll bring on in just a moment, has quite an exciting career in STEM, and we're so excited to hear a little bit more about him today. Justen Bond is an area director for trim and final process, and he leads a team in Flint, Michigan. At our Flint assembly plant, as Jenna mentioned, produces some of our pickup trucks at GM. So without further ado, I will pass things over to Justen.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Appreciate the opportunity to join in this event on today, the STEM event today. As they've introduced and they've already said, my name is Justen Bond, Area Director of the Trim and Final Process area of General Assembly here at Flint Truck Assembly. A little bit of background about me. I was born and raised in Flint, so hopefully we'll have some Flint people online here today. Born and raised in Flint, graduated from Flint Central High School, and then have had a great career General Motors. I'm a Michigan State University grad in mechanical engineering. So that's a little bit of background about me. Have worked at GM for approximately 20 years, a little less than 20 years, going through summer internships with General Motors and then hiring in full time. A little bit of background about me from a family perspective. I started, well, I should say, have two girls, 10-year-old Alyssa Bond and 7-year-old Aya Bond, both very energetic young ladies who are Girl Scouts. So if anybody wants any Girl Scout cookies, you can always come see me. Feel free to let me know if you want Girl Scout cookies. If you're having a bad day, you can always get one. But one of the things that, from a background about me from a STEM standpoint, background for me, my mother was a math teacher and retired as an administrator. So math and science has kind of been in the background with me. And then my father was a skilled tradesperson, die maker, who also worked for General Motors. And so science and technology has been in my background, in my family, and of course, a host of other relatives who have worked in General Motors from the production and skills side. So that's kind of my background in General Motors, I'm a third generation GM employee. So that's a little bit more background about me. From a professional career standpoint, I've done a lot of work within the manufacturing space when it comes from building engines to casting molten aluminum and forming those into parts for engines. I've also dealt with engine components such as fuel rails, intake manifolds with plastic injection molding. And then also I've been a part of a couple different vehicle assembly operations. So vehicle assembly operations here in Flint and also in Lansing, Michigan as well. From a career standpoint, I've had an opportunity to move around in General Motors, of course, Flint being home, worked in multiple sites there. I've also worked over and actually had a 6-month assignment in China, working for General Motors, helping to launch an engine plant as a lead quality engineer for that particular facility, and had a great opportunity to meet a lot of great people over there and help with the manufacturing processes over in China. And then also I've also worked in Indiana, Rochester, New York, and also a couple other sites in Michigan, which would be Lansing and Saginaw as well. So that's a little bit of my GM career. I've worked in manufacturing, maintenance and production, and also quality. I've led teams at various different levels across different shifts. So it could be the normal day shift or the midnight shift, as some people like to call it. And so just to make sure that GM is producing the best vehicles that we can for our customers. I've led teams as assistant plant manager in 2 different sites in Rochester, New York, and in Saginaw, and then the area director where in 2 different sites. Previous position was in Lansing, Michigan, over the body shop, where we use about 600 to 700 robots to weld the vehicle together and send that through the paint process, and then ultimate to the general assembly process, which is the team that I lead at this time, where we assemble the interior of the vehicle, and then we send that to the final line processes where the rest of the vehicle is placed together. And then also I manage a team of, if there is a issue with the vehicle, I have a team of diagnosticians and repair people that help repair those vehicles and get those vehicles pulled back together, repaired, and sent off to our customers. So that's a little bit of background about me. Science and engineering has always been very important to me just as a young child. I've always been interested in cars and in vehicles. Anything that came into the house that needed to be assembled, I was the first person on it. And that really drove my passion for engineering and STEM and learning how do things go together, and the curiosity I've always had ever since I was a young child of how do we make things work, or kind of learning how to take something that's in pieces or maybe disassemble and figure out how we can make things go together and figuring out a solution to a problem. So that's a little bit of background about me. And I guess at this time, if anybody has any questions for me, feel free to ask any questions.
Oh, that is so awesome, Justen. Thank you so much for sharing a little bit about your background. And it's super exciting to see all of the different careers you've held at GM and the different pieces of the process that you have had a chance to impact. I also really loved that you talked about your natural STEM curiosity that you have and taking things apart and putting them together. I think that is such a huge component of being successful in STEM. But before we start taking some of our audience question, I do have a quick question for you. So you mentioned that your mom was a math teacher, and I know for me particularly, math has always been a scary subject.
Okay.
What advice might you have for students that might be struggling with math or science or any STEM subjects? How do they keep going?
So I say with STEM subjects, one of the things that you can do is don't be afraid to take chances, right? Working with math, from a financial standpoint, I know we like to buy things and different things like that. So mathematics is across. You run into mathematics no matter where you go. So if you like shopping, if you like to purchase things, everyone always likes their favorite things. We have our needs and we have our wants, and so a lot of times those come at a cost. So just keep working through things, keep trying things. I made many mistakes along the way. Everything didn't always work right the first time. So you learn and you build and grow from that standpoint. So you just continue. Don't be discouraged. Keep working. Keep asking lots of questions. Don't be afraid to get your hands. I like to say, get your hands dirty. Right, get right down into it and work together. One of the great things about General Motors and even working with STEM is a lot of times we work in teams on things. So building relationships, working with teams collectively together to come up with a solution to a problem is something that we do all day, every single day. So no matter what job I'm in, I could be in manufacturing, or I could be in quality, or in a leadership position as I'm currently in right now. We work collectively together as a team to figure out how do we do that. And we really work to engage our team, the people that we work with. That's one of the most exciting parts about the job, is the people that you get to work with every single day, and you get to see how many geniuses you work with every single day, because everyone has a different perspective and different idea. And when everybody kind of comes together and everyone shares an idea, we usually come up with the best idea collectively together. And that's where we build our success off of.
That's awesome. I love the focus on perseverance and collaboration. Those are two really key components. So we've got our first audience question. What was it like living in another country and working for GM?
So living in another country, I never forget, I got on an airplane in Detroit, and when I walked off the airplane, I was in China, right? And so it was a different experience. But one thing I definitely did learn, no matter where you go, people are people, right? People are genuine, people are kind. And so one of the things that, going over to China, working in a different country, and, not speaking the language of that country, the dominant language of that country, there were some challenges even in that. But what I found is we work to communicate. There's a lot of different ways you can communicate. If it comes from writing things down or drawing pictures or different things like that, we did a lot of great communication from that standpoint. Great thing is I really saw the opportunity for me to go and learn. I didn't take it as necessarily me teaching, because I had experience in manufacturing. That was one piece of it, but my primary goal was to go learn from the team over in China. And then working in China, you got a chance to build a lot of great relationships. That experience was actually back in 2008, 2009, and still to this day, I still text back and forth with some of the great people that I met in China. And so it was just a great experience, great people, and really, I found we have the common goal together, right? We may speak different languages and have different cultural backgrounds, but one common goal is that we're going to work together as a team, and we really want to work to win, to make ourselves successful, build ourselves up, develop ourselves, and then ultimately make the corporation successful as well.
That is awesome, and such good learnings you took away. And again, that collaboration popping back up for being a key to success. So we've got our next question. What's it like working in a plant? I personally haven't had a chance to do that. Could you share a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so I'll talk to Flint Assembly. So a lot of plants are very similar. There are unique experiences to each facility, but I'll talk to Flint Assembly. So Flint Assembly is a site that about 55 about between 5,000 and about 5,500 people work collectively together to build one of the greatest truck, I would say, greatest heavy duty truck in the world. And working collectively with people, the area that I mainly oversee, there's about 900 people across 3 shifts. So working in a plant, the way the Flint Assembly works, the line starts up Sunday night, and we don't turn it off until almost until Friday night into Saturday morning. And if we happen to work a Saturday, we run it all the way until early Sunday morning. So it's a very dynamic process, very fast-paced process. So if you're full of energy, an assembly site is somewhere where you like to go. And one of the great things about working here is that you see that product roll off the line. So you can see all the hard work that you've done, the teams that you lead, the people that you engage with, the people that, the culture that you build, and you really work to see how that end product goes off the line. And then also you get to get the customer feedback. We get a lot of customer feedback looking at different surveys and different things like that. And then we work to make sure that we're meeting all the customer demands and their needs. And one of the things that happens in manufacturing, things can go wrong, right? And so it's fulfilling when you have a problem or have a challenge in front of you or an opportunity in front of you, and you work collectively as a team to figure it out, and then really look at how that really impacts the bottom line. Here at Flint Assembly, we build about approximately 1 vehicle per minute here, and so it's a fairly high-paced facility. So it's kind of cool watching that process work and kind of all the systems work and the people working with the systems, and we work collectively together to build a great product for the customer.
Wow, a vehicle approximately every minute. That is a lot. And no wonder collaboration is so important to help make that process successful. Let's see if we've got another question here. What's your favorite vehicle that you've had a chance to work on so far at GM?
Well, I never worked in the exact vehicle assembly plant, but I've had a chance to visit it. I think the Escalade is pretty cool. I love the Escalade. I love the way it looks. I know recently GM actually has a V series, which is one of the faster versions of it. I haven't had the opportunity to drive it yet, but I definitely like the way the Escalade looks, the commanding presence that it gives, and it's just a nice, smooth, sleek ride. And it's and so hopefully one day I'll get a chance to ride in one and maybe even drive one. And so I think that's probably one of the coolest vehicles we have, along with the Corvette. I really like the Corvette as well. So the Corvette, the new Corvette that they have out right now is selling very well, and it's also a very, very beautiful vehicle. And then right along behind that is the HD trucks we build here. I know there's some new pictures out of the new HD that'll be coming out here real soon. We're working on building some initial builds of that, and it looks really, really great. And I'm really excited to see how the customer will receive. I believe we've done a really good job with this vehicle that's coming out.
That is super exciting. And I think that the Escalade is also a very, very cool vehicle. So I'd have to agree with you on that one. And we've got one final question here for us to wrap things up. So you talked about, your mom being a math teacher, your dad working at General Motors. Would you consider them your STEM role models when you were younger, or was there someone else perhaps in your life that also inspired you?
Yeah, I would definitely say it definitely started at home with both of my parents, my mother and my father, seeing the work that he did from a skilled standpoint. A lot of the work that we used to do at home. So there's a lot of things that me and my father would build at home. We've built sheds, reconstructed different areas of the home, laid down tile, done a lot of great work at home. And I actually do that with my daughters. When you kind of move and you do different things, you break things down and you put things together. And so my 2 daughters, whenever we move, we have to pull something, take something apart or pull it together, they're right there with me. And so I think for me, that's where it started at. I have a number of cousins, aunts, and uncles that are engineers as well. And so learning and seeing the work that they have done. I have one uncle that's in the pharmaceutical business who's done a lot of work, and I had an aunt that did computer engineering. And so seeing the work that they did was really inspiring to me. Actually, growing up, I always wanted to be a pediatrician because I've always really loved working with children, working with kids, and doing those type of things. And about the 11th grade year, I had an opportunity to go to Kettering University, used to be formerly known as GMI, and spend a summer program there at the AIM program. And I think that's what really kind of changed me. Like I said, I've always had that level of curiosity, but going through some of the science and math classes there and understanding engineering a little bit more really helped change me. And that's kind of the path I ended up taking when I went to college at Michigan State University.
That's awesome. What a wonderful group of role models you had. And I love that you've also involved your daughters in some of the STEM at home content that you've got with building things and taking things apart. It's awesome to see you inspiring the next generation. Thank you so much for your time today. It was great to hear a little bit more about your background and what you do at GM. I hope our audience enjoyed today's session, but I am going to bring Jenna back up on screen to wrap things up for us.
Thank you, Kelsey, and thank you, Justen, for sharing a little bit about yourself and your STEM journey. We hope that everyone will tune in next month on February 17th at 1 p.m. Eastern, when we'll have 2 GM guest speakers to join our STEM Careers All Year session. And we'll also have one of them sharing the story, Whoosh, Lonnie Johnson's Super Soaking Stream of Inventions by Chris Barton. So we look forward to seeing you there. And can't wait to the next event. Have a wonderful rest of your Friday. Thank you.